Welcome to Simply Explained English. I am Lisa.
And I'm Eric. Do you want to improve your English easily? If so, you're in the right place. Okay, today we'll explain some common idioms from previous podcasts. It will be a good review for you.
Okay, let's have a look at them, Eric.
The first idiom is face the music. To be on thin ice. When pigs fly. At the end of the day. And hit the sack.
Then, go back to the drawing board. Last resort. Go the extra mile. Make a long story short. Bite the bullet.
In the next section, beat around the bush, break the ice, and once in a blue moon. Look on the bright side. Let the cat out of the bag. And in the last section, the last straw. Hit the nail on the head, and so far, so good. Same old, same old. The last one is, it's not my cup of tea.
Let's start with the first idiom.
The first idiom is face the music.
Face the music. It's an interesting phrase. What does it mean?
Face the music means to accept the results of your actions. It's when you deal with the results of something you've done, especially if it's something bad or difficult.
So it's like when you have to accept the punishment or deal with the problem you caused?
Exactly. For example, after breaking the vase, he had to face the music and tell his mom.
It means that he had to accept responsibility and deal with the situation by telling his mom about the broken vase.
Right. Another example is, she didn't study for the test and now has to face the music of getting a bad grade.
It means she has to accept the consequence of not studying, which is getting a low score on the test. Have you ever had to face the music, Eric?
Yes, I once had to face the music when I forgot to pay a bill on time. I had to pay a late fee and explain to the company what happened.
That must have been frustrating. How did you handle it?
I apologized and made sure to set a reminder for future bills. Facing the music taught me to be more responsible with my payments.
That's a good lesson. It's important to face the music and deal with the consequences of our actions, even if it's tough.
Absolutely. It helps us learn and grow from our experiences. Okay, the next idiom is to be on thin ice. This idiom means to be in a risky situation where you could easily get into trouble. It's often used when someone is doing something that might upset another person or cause problems.
That's a good description, Eric. For example, he's on thin ice with his teacher after not doing his homework. It means that he might get into trouble because he didn't do his work.
Yes, and another sentence could be, she was on thin ice at work for being late too often. It means she could lose her job if she continues to arrive late. Lisa, have you ever felt like you were on thin ice?
Yes, I forgot to do my homework several times. My teacher told me I was on thin ice, meaning if I didn't start doing my homework, I might get into serious trouble.
I once felt like I was on thin ice at work because I missed a few deadlines. I had to work extra hard to make sure I didn't get into more trouble.
And remember, to be on thin ice is an idiom that means you're in a risky situation and you need to be cautious.
Okay, the next idiom is when pigs fly.
When pigs fly.
When pigs fly. When pigs fly is an idiom. It means something that will never happen. Pigs cannot fly, so it is used to talk about things that are impossible to happen. Here's an example sentence. He will clean his room when pigs fly. It means he will never clean his room because pigs cannot fly, so it is impossible.
Here's another example. She'll start waking up early when pigs fly. It means that she will never start waking up early because it's something that will not happen.
Have you ever used this idiom, Lisa?
Yes, I have. I once said my friend would start loving homework when pigs fly because he really hates doing it. How about you?
Yes, I've used it too. I told my brother he would start keeping his room clean when pigs fly because he never cleans it. Do you think this idiom is funny?
Yes, it is funny because we imagine something impossible, like pigs flying. It makes the sentence more interesting. What do you think?
I agree. It adds humor to the conversation and makes it clear that something is very unlikely to happen. Do you know any other idioms like this?
Yes, another similar idiom is when hell freezes over. It also means something that will never happen. Anything else you want to add about our idiom today?
Just remember that when pigs fly is an idiom used to describe something impossible. It's a fun way to say that something will never happen. Okay, the next idiom is at the end of the day.
At the end of the day.
At the end of the day is a phrase. It means the most important fact or the final result after considering everything. Here's an example sentence. At the end of the day, we all just want to be happy. It means that after thinking about everything, the most important thing is that we all want to be happy.
Here's my example. We had some problems, but at the end of the day, the project was successful. It means that although we had some problems, the most important thing was that the project was successful.
Exactly. This phrase is an idiom. It is usually used to emphasize the main point at the beginning or in the middle of a sentence.
Good point, Eric.
Lisa, can you think of a time when you used this phrase?
Yes. Last week, I was discussing plans with a friend. We had many ideas, but at the end of the day, we decided to keep it simple.
That's a good example. It shows how you reached a final decision. For me, I was thinking about buying a new phone. I looked at many options, but at the end of the day, I chose the one that was the best value.
Oh, that's smart. Do you think it's important to use the phrase at the end of the day?
Yes, because it's very useful in everyday conversations. It helps to emphasize the final point or conclusion.
Yes, I agree.
The next word is hit the sack.
Hit the sack.
Hit the sack. As you said, hit the sack is an idiom. It means to go to bed or to go to sleep. We use it when we are tired and ready to sleep. For example, I'm really tired, so I'm going to hit the sack. It means that I feel very tired and I am going to bed to sleep.
And for the second sentence, she hit the sack early last night because she had a big day ahead. It means that she went to bed early because she wanted to be well rested for an important day.
Lisa, do you usually hit the sack early or do you stay up late?
I usually hit the sack early because I like to wake up early in the morning. How about you, Eric?
I often stay up late, but I try to hit the sack early when I have a busy day ahead. It helps me feel more rested.
That's smart. Do you have any tips for getting a good night's sleep?
Yes, I do. I think it's good to avoid screens before bed and to have a relaxing routine. Reading a book or listening to soft music can help. What about you?
I agree. I also find that a comfortable bed and a cool, dark room help me sleep better. Do you have a favorite way to relax before hitting the sack?
I like to drink a cup of herbal tea and read a little. It helps me unwind.
I love taking a warm bath and then reading a good book. It's very relaxing.
That sounds wonderful. It's important to have a good routine before hitting the sack.
Yes, it is. Well, that's all for the idiom hit the sack.
The next word is go back to the drawing board.
Go back to the drawing board.
Go back to the drawing board is an idiom. It means to start over because the first plan did not work. Here's an example sentence. Our project failed, so we need to go back to the drawing board. It means that the project did not succeed, so we need to start planning again from the beginning.
Here's another example. The design was not approved. We have to go back to the drawing board. This means that the design was not accepted, so we had to start over and create a new design.
Have you ever had to go back to the drawing board, Lisa?
Yes, I have. I once had to do a presentation again because my first one was not clear. How about you, Eric?
I had to go back to the drawing board when a website I was designing didn't meet the client's expectations. Do you think it's common to go back to the drawing board in work and personal projects?
No, it's not very common, but it can happen sometimes. When it happens, it helps improve our plans and ideas.
I agree. It's part of the learning process. Do you know any other phrases that mean the same as go back to the drawing board?
Yes, phrases like start from scratch and begin again have similar meanings.
Okay, the next word is last resort.
Last resort.
It means the final option when no other choices are left. Here's an example sentence. If we can't find a hotel, sleeping in the car is our last resort. It means that if we can't find a hotel, the only option left is to sleep in the car.
Here's another example. They used their emergency savings as a last resort. It means that using their emergency savings was the final option after trying everything else.
Now, let's briefly discuss some grammar related to last resort. This phrase is a noun phrase and is often used with as a last resort or our before it, like as a last resort or our last resort. Have you ever had to use a last resort, Lisa?
Yes, once I had to stay at a friend's house as a last resort when my flight was canceled. How about you, Eric?
I had to walk home as a last resort when my car broke down and there were no taxis. Do you think having a last resort is important?
Yes, having a last resort helps us stay prepared for unexpected situations. What do you think?
I agree. It's always good to have a backup plan. Okay, last resort means the final option when no other choices are left. It's a noun phrase used to describe the ultimate backup plan.
That's right, Eric.
The last word today is go the extra mile.
Go the extra mile.
Go the extra mile is an idiom. It means to make a special effort to achieve something or do more than expected. For example, she always goes the extra mile to help her customers.
It means that she makes a special effort to help her customers, doing more than what is expected.
Exactly, Lisa. Here's another example. If you want to succeed, you need to go the extra mile in your work.
It means that to be successful, you need to put in extra effort and do more than what is required.
Absolutely. Now, let's briefly discuss some grammar related to go the extra mile. This phrase is an idiom and is used with the verb go in different tenses. For example, go the extra mile in the present tense and went the extra mile in the past tense.
Great. What do you think about the impact of going the extra mile?
I think going the extra mile can really make a difference in what people think about you and can lead to greater respect and success. Have you ever gone the extra mile for something, Lisa?
Yes, I once stayed up all night to help a friend prepare for an important presentation. How about you, Eric?
I helped organize a surprise birthday party for a friend by making decorations and planning games. Do you think going the extra mile is always necessary?
Not always, but it can be very rewarding and help build strong relationships.
I agree. It shows dedication and can make you stand out. Do you know any other phrases that mean the same as go the extra mile?
Yes, phrases like go above and beyond and put in extra effort have similar meanings.
Exactly. Remember that go the extra mile means making a special effort to achieve something or doing more than what is expected. It's a useful phrase to show dedication and hard work.
That's right.
Okay, the next word is make a long story short. This idiom is used when you want to give the main point of a story without all the details. It means you are summarizing something to keep it brief. For example, I had a flat tire, missed the bus, and had to walk home. To make a long story short, it was a tough day.
It means that many things happened, but the main point is that it was a tough day.
Exactly. Here's another example. He lost his job, his car broke down, and to make a long story short, he had a lot of bad luck that week. This means that many bad things happened, but the main point is that he had a lot of bad luck.
Now, let's talk about how to use make a long story short in sentences. We usually use it at the beginning or in the middle of a sentence.
Additionally, sometimes people say long story short, which means the same thing. For example, long story short, we decided not to go on the trip.
Good point.
Lisa, what do you think about the phrase make a long story short?
I think it's a very useful phrase. It helps you get to the main point quickly without telling every detail.
Yes, exactly. And in the dialogue, Emma and Jake used it to summarize a long story. Do you think using make a long story short makes their conversation clearer?
Definitely. It shows that they are giving the important part of the story without going into too many details. It makes the conversation more efficient.
I agree. It's especially helpful when you don't want to go into too many details. Do you know any other phrases that mean the same as make a long story short?
Yes, phrases like in short and to sum up have similar meanings. For example, in short, we missed the plane.
Good example. Okay, the next word is bite the bullet.
Bite the bullet.
Bite the bullet. This phrase is an idiom and it means to do something difficult or unpleasant that you've been avoiding, but you know you must do it.
That's right, Eric. When we bite the bullet, we decide to face a tough situation instead of putting it off. Let's give some examples to help our listeners understand better.
Sure, here's my example. I finally bit the bullet and went to the dentist. It means that I decided to go to the dentist even though I didn't want to because I knew it was necessary.
Good example. Here's mine. She bit the bullet and told her boss she was quitting. It means that she finally told her boss she was leaving her job even though it was hard to do.
Bite the bullet when we decide to do something difficult.
Yes, it does. Eric, have you ever had to bite the bullet for something?
Yes, Lisa. Last month, I had to bite the bullet and clean out my garage. I had been avoiding it for a long time. It was hard work, but I was happy I finally did it. The garage looks much better now.
That's often how we feel after we bite the bullet. It's hard at first, but we feel good afterward. Do you think it's always good to bite the bullet, Eric?
Well, Lisa, usually it is, but if you're unsure about a big decision, like changing jobs, it might be better to think about it more before making it.
Well said, Eric. Sometimes we need more time to make important choices.
Okay, the next word is beat around the bush.
Beat around the bush.
Beat around the bush means to avoid talking about something directly. Instead of saying what you really want to say, you talk about other things. It is an idiom, which means the words together have a special meaning. Now, let's look at some example sentences. Don't beat around the bush and tell me what you want. It means that someone should stop avoiding the main topic and say what they really mean.
Now, I'll give another example. When asked about the problem, he just beat around the bush. It means that he did not give a direct answer to the question about the problem. Eric, do you think it's always good to be direct?
Not always. Being direct can be good, but sometimes it's better to be gentle with our words. How do you feel about that, Lisa?
I think it depends on the situation. In some cases, being direct can help solve problems quickly. In other cases, it might be better to beat around the bush a little to be kind.
Yes, that's true. So we both agree that beat around the bush means to avoid saying something directly. It can be useful in some situations, but not always the best approach.
That's right. And remember, beat around the bush is an idiom, so the words together have a special meaning. Oh, that's an interesting phrase. Let's explain what it means.
Break the ice is an idiom that means to do or say something to make people feel more comfortable in a social situation, especially when they don't know each other well.
That's right. It's often used when people are meeting for the first time or when there's an awkward silence in a conversation.
Let me give an example sentence. The teacher asked everyone to introduce themselves to break the ice on the first day of class. It means that the teacher wanted the students to feel more comfortable by talking about themselves.
Good example. Here's another one. At the party, John told a funny joke to break the ice. It means that John used humor to make people feel more relaxed and start talking to each other. So, Eric, can you think of a time when you had to break the ice?
Well, when I joined a new sports club, I broke the ice by asking people about their favorite teams. What about you, Lisa?
Oh, I once broke the ice at a party by starting a fun group game. It really helped everyone relax and start talking.
That's a great way to break the ice. Games can be very effective for that.
Definitely. It's interesting how many different ways there are to break the ice, isn't it?
Yes, it is. I think the key is to find something that makes people feel comfortable and encourages them to talk.
I agree. Breaking the ice can really help in making new friends or starting new relationships.
Okay, the next word is once in a blue moon.
Once in a blue moon.
Once in a blue moon.
Okay, let's explain what once in a blue moon means. It's an idiom that means very rarely or almost never. We use it to talk about things that don't happen often at all.
That's right, Lisa. Now, let me give an example sentence. I only eat fast foods once in a blue moon because I'm trying to be healthy.
Good example. It means that the person eats fast foods very rarely because they want to stay healthy.
Exactly. Now, Lisa, can you give us another example?
Sure. Here's my example. My grandfather visits us once in a blue moon since he lives far away. It means that my grandfather visits very rarely because he lives far away. Eric, is there something you do once in a blue moon?
Oh, all the time. For example, I love to go to the cinema, but I only go once in a blue moon now because I'm so busy with the podcast. What about you?
Me too. I love to read novels, but I only find the time to read once in a blue moon. We work too hard.
But at least we like what we do.
Very true. I hope our followers like our podcast as well. If they like our podcast, we'll be happier and do our best to make a better podcast.
I agree. So our followers, please don't forget to like our podcast and make a comment. We'll appreciate it. Okay, the next word is look on the bright side.
Look on the bright side.
Look on the bright side.
That sounds positive. What does it mean, Eric?
Look on the bright side means to focus on the good things in a situation even when things are difficult.
So it's about being optimistic and thinking about the positive part of things?
Exactly. We use it to encourage people to be hopeful and not give up.
Okay, let's give our listeners some examples. Eric, would you like to go first?
Sure, here's an example. I know you're upset about missing the concert, but look on the bright side. We can go to the cinema instead.
So, in this example, someone is disappointed about missing a concert, but the speaker is trying to cheer them up by suggesting a different activity.
Exactly. They are focusing on the positive alternative.
Okay, I have another example. Okay, so you didn't get the job, but look on the bright side. You gained valuable interview experience.
Good one. In this case, the speaker is telling someone that even though they didn't achieve their main goal, there were still some positive things from the experience.
So, Eric, do you think you're good at looking on the bright side?
I think I'm generally a positive person. I try to focus on the good things in life. What about you, Lisa?
Me too. I think it's important to have a positive outlook, even when things are tough.
I agree. It makes life much more enjoyable.
Definitely.
Our last word today is let the cat out of the bag.
Let the cat out of the bag.
Let the cat out of the bag.
This is an interesting idiom in English.
That's right, Lisa. Let the cat out of the bag means to reveal a secret or surprise by accident. For example, John let the cat out of the bag about the surprise party for Sarah.
It means that John accidentally told someone about the surprise party for Sarah.
Good explanation. Can you give us another example, Lisa, now?
Sure. Here's another example. The company tried to keep the new product secret, but an employee let the cat out of the bag during an interview. It means that the employee accidentally gave information about the new product that the company wanted to keep a secret. So, Eric, is let the cat out of the bag a formal or informal phrase?
It's definitely informal. You wouldn't use it in professional or formal writing. It's also fairly common, especially in casual conversations. People often use it when talking about secrets or surprises. Also, it's useful because it's a colorful way to talk about secrets. It can help learners understand native speakers better and sound more natural.
That makes sense.
Okay, the next word is the last straw.
The last straw.
The last straw is an idiom, and it means that it is the final problem that caused them to lose patience or decide to take action. When someone says, "This is the last straw," it means that they can't take it anymore.
Exactly, Eric. So, the last straw is the last thing that makes a person feel enough is enough.
That's a good explanation, Lisa. Now, let's give 2 example sentences to help everyone understand it better. Here's my example. When he shouted at me for no reason, it was the last straw. I quit my job. It means that the person had been already unhappy for a while, but the shouting was the final problem that made them decide to leave their job.
Here's another example. When the car broke down again, it was the last straw for him, and he decided to buy a new one. It means that after many problems with the car, the latest breakdown was the final issue that made him decide to get a new car.
Good one, Lisa.
Do you think it is a common idiom, Eric?
Yes, Lisa, it's a very common idiom when people are frustrated or upset, and in both spoken and written English. What do you think?
Well, Eric, I think the last straw is useful because it helps express strong emotions. When someone is really fed up or has had enough, this phrase explains that feeling perfectly. Also, it is easy to remember because you can imagine a camel carrying a lot of straws, until one last straw makes it too heavy.
That's a good way to think about it, Lisa. So, listeners, the last straw is the final problem that causes you to take action. Okay, the next word is hit the nail on the head.
Hit the nail on the head.
Hit the nail on the head is an idiom that means to say or do exactly the right thing or to describe something perfectly.
It's a colorful way to say someone is exactly correct.
Yes, Lisa. Let me give the first example sentence. When John said the project needed more time, he really hit the nail on the head. It means that John's comment about the project needing more time was exactly right. Now it's your turn, Lisa.
Here's another example. She hit the nail on the head when she said the project was too big. It means that she was exactly correct when she said the project was too big.
Good example. Lisa is hit the nail on the head, a common expression.
It's fairly common, Eric. People use it when they want to emphasize that someone is exactly right.
Is it more formal or informal, Lisa?
Hit the nail on the head is more informal, Eric. In formal writing or speech, you might say precisely correct instead. People often use it in discussions or debates when someone makes a very accurate point. It's a fun way to agree strongly with someone.
I agree. It's more interesting than just saying, "You're right," isn't it?
Definitely. It adds color to the language and makes conversations more engaging.
Well said, Lisa. Remember, everyone, idioms like this one make your English sound more natural and fun. Okay, the next word is so far, so good.
So far, so good.
So far, so good is an idiom. It's used to say that things are going well up to now or that there hasn't been any problem yet.
When we say so far, so good, we mean everything is okay until this point in time.
Exactly. Let's give some example sentences to show how it's used. Here's my sentence. We've been driving for 2 hours, and so far, so good. No traffic. It means that for the last 2 hours of driving, everything has been going smoothly. There haven't been any problems like traffic jams, so I say so far, so good. Now it's your turn, Lisa.
Here's my example. How's your new job? So far, so good. I like my coworkers and the work is interesting. It means that, up to this point, the new job is going well and there are no complaints or issues. So, Eric, do you think so far, so good is a common phrase in English?
Yes, it's very common. People use it often when talking about ongoing situations or projects.
Is it more informal?
I'd say it's quite informal. We use it a lot in casual conversations, but it might not be suitable for very formal writing.
Good point. Is there anything you would add, Eric?
Yes, Lisa, it's really easy to use in different contexts. You can say it about your work, a trip, or even how you're feeling during the day. It's simpler than saying, "Everything is going well until now."
Thank you for your short summary, Eric.
Okay, the next word is same old, same old.
Same old, same old.
Same old, same old. Same old, same old is an idiom. It's used to describe a situation that hasn't changed and might be a bit boring.
That's right. When we say same old, we mean things are just as they always are, with nothing new or exciting.
Let me give an example sentence. How was work today? Oh, same old, same old.
It means that the person's day at work was very normal and nothing special happened.
Good explanation. Now it's your turn, Lisa. Can you give us another example?
Sure. Here's another example. I'm tired of eating at the same restaurant. It's always same old, same old. It means that the person is bored with the restaurant because the food and experience never change.
That's right. Now, let's talk about how to use this phrase. Same old is an informal expression. We often use it as a response to questions about daily activities or routines.
Good point.
Lisa, is same old a common expression?
Yes, it's very common in casual conversations, especially when people are talking about their daily lives.
I agree. Is it more formal or informal?
It's definitely informal. We use it with friends and family, but not in formal writing or professional settings.
Okay, the last word today is, it's not my cup of tea.
It's not my cup of tea.
Well, it is an idiom. When someone says this, they mean that something is not to their liking or it's not something they enjoy.
That's right. For example, if someone doesn't enjoy watching horror movies, they might say, "Horror movies are not my cup of tea." It's a polite way of expressing that you don't like or prefer something.
Yes, and this idiom is quite common in everyday English. It's useful for talking about activities, foods, music, or any kind of preference. It's informal but friendly.
Exactly, Eric. How about another example? Let's say someone asks if you like going hiking. If you don't, you could say, hiking is not my cup of tea, but I love going to the beach. This way, you show what you don't enjoy while offering an alternative.
Good example. Now, a quick grammar note. This phrase is usually used in the negative form. People don't say, "It is my cup of tea" to show preference. Instead, if you like something, you might just say, "I like it," or "I enjoy it."
That's a helpful tip, Eric. And here's another. When you use this phrase, it's polite and gentle. It doesn't sound rude or too strong. So if someone invites you to a rock concert and you're not a fan, you can say, "Thanks, but rock music isn't really my cup of tea."
Perfect. So, listeners, remember that "it's not my cup of tea" is a great way to express dislikes politely. Practice it with things you know you don't enjoy.
Well, that's it for today's episode of Simply Explained English. We hope you found the words helpful and the explanations easy to understand.
Thanks for listening. Keep studying your English
And stay tuned. Bye for now.